Broadcasting live from Houston, from the space city to the world. You are watching Now Media Television.
Welcome to Power CEOs, the truth behind the business. I'm Jen Gaudet, your fearless host, and today I have two amazing guests joining us in studio. We are going to talk all things real and relevant business today. Why? Because I believe that when we share what's working and even what's not in business, we can learn and grow together, and iron sharpens iron. When we as entrepreneurs band together to learn and grow, we elevate our businesses, which has a ripple effect, impacting not only ourselves and our families, our teams, their families, our communities, and our world. Without further ado, I would love to introduce to you my guests today. First off, we have Rachel Drody of Harper Grayson Communications. Welcome to the studio, Rachel.
Hi, thanks so much for having me here.
And so, Rachel, Harper Grayson, tell me a little bit about what it is, how it came to be, and your why behind your business.
It all started about 4 years ago. I started up a digital marketing agency after going to a bunch of networking meetings because it just wasn't the right fit for me, going to meet other moms and things like that. And I had been in corporate marketing for quite a long time. And I wanted to offer all the tools that I had to small businesses. And from there, we just started growing.
That's fantastic. I love it. And serving small business is something that's very key to my heart as well. And also joining us today, we have Lee Freeman, attorney at law. Lee is the president of her firm, and welcome to the studio, Lee.
Hey, Jen, thanks for having me. Super excited to be here with you guys today.
And Lee, so tell me, what was it that drove you to have your own firm, to become the president of your company, and to really serve the small business community?
So I've always loved small businesses. I've always been passionate about them. I actually grew up in a family business, so it was my parents and grandparents that ran a John Deere implement store in western Nebraska when I was growing up. So from those roots of just growing up in a small business and a family business, as I practiced law throughout the years, always had an affinity for those cases and decided when I went on my own that's what I wanted to focus on.
That's fantastic. So ladies, let's get into the nitty gritty. We are in an economic situation that we haven't seen in quite some time. And both of you have been around the block for a while. We've all been in business for several years. And so tell me, we'll first hit it from the how is it impacting you and your decision-making process as you move forward in business. But as the economy is in a little bit of turmoil, we're seeing elevated prices, we're seeing consumers tightening their belts a little bit. How is that impacting your business decision-making process and how you're working with your clients? I'll let Rachel, you start off.
So the economy has definitely taken an impact on small businesses. And so one of the things that we're doing is we're going through their strategic planning with them, working with them on how to cut through the clutter when it comes to marketing, where they need to be, and what's going to give them the best return on investment. We'll see a lot of small businesses that aren't planning well. Those are the ones that are dropping by the wayside. It's the ones that can actually think forward. What are they going to do and how are they going to solve a problem for their clients? That's what's making a big difference right now. It's those who are ready to make that turn.
So you know I'm going to ask you because I am a business strategist and coach, and I believe fundamentally the numbers don't lie. So how are you able to utilize the numbers in the business to find the best ROI for your clients right now? Is that something that they're responding to, and something that if our viewers are at home and they're doing their own, like something that they could maybe start paying attention to so they can double down on what's working?
Definitely. So some of the best things to do easy is making sure your social media is where it needs to be. They're going there first. If you're making sure to feed the two monsters, as we like to call them, Meta, which is Facebook, Instagram, and making sure all of that is filled in, and Google as well. But those younger generations, how are you reaching them? What are you doing to grow there? They're on TikTok right now. Are you there? Are you making videos? Are you engaging them?
Fantastic. And so now I'm going to hit Lee with kind of the same question, because you hit it from the legal perspective, which is so critically important as businesses grow or as they're experiencing changes. What are you seeing? Is there any difference in how you're approaching or your clients are approaching business right now?
I think the thing that I'm seeing the most right now is people wanting to mitigate risk. So anytime there's turmoil in the economy, that gets everybody's nerves a little bit on edge. And so even more now than ever, we're trying to mitigate risk. We're trying to find those elements in their business that could potentially cause them a lawsuit. Do you have employment agreements with all your employees? Do you have independent contractor agreements with your contractors? How tight are your vendor agreements? How tight are your supplier agreements? All those areas where maybe we can tighten things up, that's an area where business owners are really focusing right now.
I really like that you brought up the risk mitigation, but I also want to ask you a little bit, because I know you do estate planning and the exit strategy and succession planning as well. How important is it right now, as we're in this kind of tumultuous economic environment, how important is it for business owners to have that succession plan, to think about their exit strategy? Because I know it's something as a business coach that I preach, really. And so many people are like, oh, I don't need to think about it right now. So I just want your take on it, since this is something that's critical in your business as well.
Yeah, that's a great question, Jen. So I would say succession planning is right up there at the top of the list of things that I have my clients work on when we start working together. We start at the foundation of your business. Is your business set up properly to begin with? And we build from there, and succession planning definitely has an important place in that house that we're trying to build with a strong foundation. So I think if there's nothing else that people have learned over the past 2 years with the pandemic, is that we're not invincible. And even if you're someone who's not susceptible to end up in the hospital with COVID, maybe you were down for a couple days, maybe it was a couple weeks. Who was taking over for you? Who was running the shop if you were too sick to? And a lot of my clients found out that they didn't have those plans in place, and unfortunately some of them suffered for it. And so that's just highlighted all the more reason why it's so important to have those plans in place for the near term and the short term.
Okay, so let's really pull this into perspective, because you ladies know I'm a coach. I wouldn't be a very good coach if we were just giving information without giving some concrete ways that people can take some action to move forward. So let's speak right now to maybe the solopreneur or the micro business, less than 10 employees, maybe even less than 5 employees. What in your mind is the best way that they can start to recession-proof their business so that they can thrive and create their own economy moving forward? If you were to break it down into just like a couple of action steps that maybe they could take. We'll start with the legal side, and then we'll move into the marketing.
Yeah, so I would definitely say, again, you're wanting to reduce or mitigate your risk. You're going to kind of do a risk analysis in your business, and you're going to find out where are those holes, where are you vulnerable. And anytime you add an employee or a contractor to your business, that increases your liability and your vulnerability so great. And so I want people to realize that those are areas that we can help them with, and areas where they don't necessarily have to be vulnerable anymore.
And I'm going to ask the question, can't we just online find forms for that?
That's a great question, and believe it or not, I do have clients that come to me and say, I found something online, will this work for me? And the answer I always say is, it's better than nothing. So what you find online may be good, may be mediocre, may be just fine for you, but really what you need is someone to give a personal analysis and give that individual touch to your business, to your contracts, to your agreements, to make sure that everything's appropriate for you and your business. So I always, again, it's better than nothing, but I would highly recommend a personalized approach when it comes to your contracts and your agreements with your employees, for example.
Yep, no one size fits all.
Absolutely.
And not only that, a lot of times it might even be for a different state, and each state has different rules and regulations that we need to follow as entrepreneurs, and countries as well. So Rachel, tell me, what would you suggest from the marketing standpoint? If somebody's a small business owner and they're kind of DIYing it, doing it themselves, what are a couple steps that they could take in the marketing front that could really start moving them forward and help them to recession-proof their business?
Well, I would definitely start with a great plan. Let's go over what is most important to you. What are your goals to start in with? Then you need to make sure that you're authentic. Don't road copy someone else's map. Don't go over that. You have to write what makes you different, what separates you out from the market. That's what you need to talk about. Being authentic is going to be the biggest thing right now. That's what everybody is craving. We're so used to getting the same thing in here all the time. Be authentic, be who you are, and then list out what's the most important thing to you. Those are what's really gonna start with the marketing. Then go after, once you've got those things mapped out, Look at your social media platforms. Where is your clientele? I see a bunch of people all the time and they're asking me, oh, I need to be here, or I need to be here, I need to be here. Is it something that you like, or is it your clientele that likes it? How are you actually communicating with them? Those are big things. They want to feel like they can get you and talk to you and have those conversations with you. If you're not monitoring a social media channel, don't get on it. Those are some of the different things to start in there, and make sure that you fill out all your business profiles, your website, everything is filled out, and they've got ways to talk to you.
I think that's really important. I'm glad you brought that up. And I'm going to ask the frequently asked question that I get from most of my clients. When they come to me, they're like, well, can I make one post and put it on all the places? What would you say to somebody who's like, I'm trying to save time. I only want to make one post and put it on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn and. What advice would you give to them?
Repurposing content is a great idea, but if you're just going to blast out everything all the time, the same message across all of them, you could get flagged as spam. We'll see a lot of business owners and they'll get on Facebook and blast it out through all these different groups, and they'll end up in what's called Facebook jail lovingly, and we'll see that. Or the other dreaded thing is they go to mirror the competition, and then they end up stealing copy or content. Those are two huge things that are getting small businesses into trouble right now, and not using graphics, pictures, things like that that they're not supposed to be using, that are not free to use commercially. So we'll see a bunch of that too. But yes, blasting out things, I'm great with repurposing content. That's good. Don't hit it all at the same time, all at one place. Talk to your audience where they are. They're all different. One social media is not the same as the other one.
Well, absolutely. And, something that I like to say is, LinkedIn is the business dressy. Facebook's kind of more a little bit business casual in your tone. So know where your audience is and where they're consuming the content. Because if I say the same thing on LinkedIn as I say on, for example, TikTok with a much younger audience, the verbiage is even different. I'm saying the same thing, but the words that I use might have changed, or how I present it might change. How is that evolving as we move forward, Rachel? I know that marketing is continually changing. It's changing every day, every week. Algorithms are always changing. But how are you seeing the language of business and the language that we use in marketing evolve with the times?
I want to say that this has always been going, but as we're all starting to grow and everything else, we're becoming way more used to seeing the different tones change. We have a lot more platforms. So that's one of the things that we're really seeing, though, is the use of video, the use of graphics that we're having graphic writers and graphic content coming up from all these different sites like Canva, where they're more easy to use if you're a small business owner, and if you don't have anybody that's doing marketing and you're doing it yourself, these small business owners are going to these. Problem is why they're really great. You can be pulling down images, you can be pulling copy from places that you shouldn't be. So that's part of the issues that we're seeing there. But using the different voices for when you're on TikTok and being very conversational about it. Are you being funny? Are you having fun with it? On Facebook, they are looking for competitions, things that are going on. Are you communicating? Are you responding? Things like that. On LinkedIn, you won't see as many responses coming out back from the organization unless they're giving out subject matter the like and comment, but not as much as what we're seeing on Facebook if you are worried about engagement, which is helping people close sales.
Yeah, absolutely. Engagement, I think, is the name of the game in any of them. And something that I heard, and I'd like to hear both of your take on this, because it'll get the legal take and we'll get the marketing side of things, is be human first. Like, be uniquely you, and make sure, because that's your strongest asset. And when we are speaking and we're delivering, you can avoid a lot of trouble if we're being uniquely us and standing in our authenticity. That's kind of a buzzword. So how are you ladies seeing this in business, and how it's applying in the legal side of things, and how it's applying in the marketing side of things as we move forward?
I think that's a really good point, Jen. I think that as individual business owners and as people, we are always striving to be authentic and genuine. How does that play itself out in the legal side? know your lane, stay in your lane. When I have business owners that come and tell me they're trying to get into some new kind of deal, I think, what is your experience in that network, in that marketing aspect? Are you really staying in your lane? And so when I talk about mitigating risk again, when I talk about making sure that business owners are playing it safe and that they're going to have success in their business, when it comes down to it, you need to know your strengths and weaknesses and be able to stay in your lane. And in terms of your legal strategy as well as your social media strategy, I think that's so important.
Being authentic, I think, in marketing, just go over that one. You see a lot of people when they'll copy other things, and that's what you want to stay away from. Being authentic, and I think it's becoming a challenge, not for the younger generations, as they love to be on video, selfies is part of it, but for the business owners that are in their late 30s on up, when we're looking at Gen X's and the very end of that millennials, they are not wanting to be on video. They're not wanting to give that. Marketing has been something different for them. And so now we're asking them to show who they really are. And that's been a challenge to get them out there. There hasn't been that selfie generation and everything else when everybody was growing up for that age range. And so we see a little bit less of that where we're having to struggle as a marketing company and pulling those out. I think of a small business owner, if you want to stay authentic and you're doing your marketing yourself, make sure to write it and make it sound like it's the tone of your business, not you, your business tone. When it comes to hiring out an agency, you want to make sure this agency is not using bots, AI writers, and that they're using content that is specific for you. Are they getting to know you? Are they talking to you, or are you just getting the same thing that 40 other people are doing? You want to make sure that you're authentic. You want to make sure the voice is coming through, is what you want your organization to sound and appear like. Because if you're being authentic, that's who you are.
I can't agree more. And we do have to take a brief break, so we're going to take a little pause. If you are watching at home, think about this. Think about how you are showing up authentically in your business and how that's coming through. And we'll be back in just a few moments. Are you a business owner feeling overwhelmed or burnt out with no energy left for what's most important to you? In order to effectively run your business and maximize your profits, you have got to be the best possible you that you can be. Now is the time to reclaim your energy, master your schedule, and maximize your profits so you can effectively run your business rather than it running you. It's time to become the CEO of your business and life. I'm Jen Gaudet, a business strategist and life coach. I work with overwhelmed business owners who feel stuck in a rut and depleted. I teach you how to stop doing the things that aren't making you money and start prioritizing the things that bring you energy, joy, and lasting impact. I'm a human performance specialist and an international best-selling author. I've helped countless people all over the world to learn the art of saying no, overcome their fear, and maximize their performance. Let's get you to live your best possible reality. Start today and become the CEO of your business and your life.
Hey there, thanks for taking time to watch this video. My name is Sherman On. My purpose is to leave a legacy by positively impacting others. I've chosen my career to work at Hotelling Insurance Services. We are a nationally licensed and fully independent risk management family office. Hotelling Insurance Services specializes in developing robust protection strategies to meet the unique needs of our diverse clientele. With over 20 years of experience in navigating the distinct exposures that arise in advanced risk mitigation planning, through our all-encompassing approach, we develop high-level estate and business solutions, employee benefit programs, and property and casualty strategies. If we can be of benefit to you, your family, your business, feel free to reach out to me. You can reach me on my cell phone at 262-271-4411. We look forward to hearing from you and hearing your story. Have yourself a fantastic day. Sherm's out.
CEOs, the truth behind the business. I'm Jen Gaudet, your fearless host. If you're just now tuning in, you're going to want to catch the first segment. You can do that by going to nowmedia.tv or catching that on any of our podcast locations. But it was filled with all kinds of amazing goodness. We are talking about how to navigate and how to thrive when economic turmoil happens in business. We are not in control of the general economy. That is not something that is within our control as entrepreneurs or executives. However, we can create our own economy and choose how we navigate these waters and make sure that we're able to continue to grow and thrive. Still in studio with me, I have both Rachel and Lee, and we are going to dive right into some of the fun topics that happen when we have economic turmoil, and that's what, ladies, do you do when your client comes to you and they deliver bad news? They're really struggling. They maybe want to stop legal services or stop marketing to cut costs. Like, how do you navigate that? What are you able to do to help them in that space? Because I know as a business coach, that's the worst conversation to have. How are you guys navigating these challenges that you see in your clientele? And I'll start with you, Lee.
I think the key is just showing the client how you bring value, showing them what you bring to the table. One of my favorite phrases and quotes is from Benjamin Franklin, and it's an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So that's really what I, as a business attorney, am trying to sell my client. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Please think about these issues today while we have the chance to get ahead of it, instead of a year from now when you're dragged into court because you haven't properly paid your employees correctly, or because you're breaching a contract and you didn't even know what the terms were. So really, your value proposition to your client becomes so important during these economic times, and you just really have to convince them of what you bring to the table. And some business owners, frankly, are easier to convince than others, right? Some people just have an affinity to take less risk and be a little bit more conservative, and those people are typically easier to convince. The ones I have a hard time with are the ones that say, oh, that's no big deal, or, we'll worry about that tomorrow. And sometimes it's, once bitten, twice shy, and they have to learn the hard way. It's in some ways like raising a child. I always say my baby business owners, I don't know if I'm a better mother because I'm a business attorney, or because I'm a business attorney, I'm a better mother. But it is kind of like raising a child when you're dealing with a small business owner. And just like children, some of them are going to behave differently than others, and you just have to convince them and try to help them make good choices.
Yeah, and I think risk is inherent to business. And anybody who's watching who's an entrepreneur who's like, I'm just going to play it safe all the time, you're never going to get to the next level if you don't take some risk. There's always risk. We have to invest in marketing. We have to invest in learning and growing and new skill sets and hiring and things a lot of times before we're actually ready. So I think you bring very, very good points. And risk mitigation is essential, because the worst thing that could happen is you haven't set yourself up right in the beginning. And when you get that call, that can sink your business. And so it's really about asset protection. Like, covering yourself legally is asset protection. And the businesses, sometimes that's our biggest asset or our greatest asset that we'll ever have. So thank you for sharing that. Rachel, how do you handle this when that conversation comes up?
Well, so when the first time we hear this type of a conversation, we want to look at the numbers. They don't lie. When you get a jolt in the market just a second, it'll make people nervous. We get that. We understand that. But what is that? What is your actual goals? So we'll look at those and start talking about that. And was the client a good fit in the first place? That's also something for us to look at. But we talk about how important is marketing. Are you getting the right data? Are you doing what you need to do? Are you reaching your audiences? Do we have the right offers? Do we have the right messaging? These are all things that we could have a conversation about, but just pulling out of your marketing, that is one of those things that you could lose all your leads right then and there. That's how people stay afloat, is staying and keeping their business name out there. Don't go dark and everything just shuts down on your social media, on your marketing, your outreach, everything, email campaigns. That could drive your business completely under at that point.
So let's talk about the person who maybe is thinking about launching a business right now. And they're ready to dip their toe in. They're maybe in corporate America. We have a lot of viewers who are corporate America. Maybe they're side gigging and they're wanting to go full-time into entrepreneurship, or maybe they're thinking about launching their first business. So what would you ladies say for the person who's thinking about launching, the first, second, third steps that they can take so that they can start to make that dream a reality for them? Lee, why don't you start? Because I firmly believe formation and understanding what you're going to do from a legal standpoint is essential.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good point. So again, building that strong foundation, like I mentioned earlier, we're going to start with the foundation of our business, which is, what is our entity going to look like? Are we going to be an LLC? Are we going to be a corporation? Most small business owners choose the LLC format because it is so flexible and it is so friendly to the business owner. So that's typically what I'm going to be recommending. We're going to get input from a CPA on the tax side. That's the legal and the tax side go hand in hand. From the beginning, please make sure you understand how you're taxed and how that process is going to work in your business as you move forward. So once we have our foundation of our entity selection, we're going to move on to contracts. We're going to move on to evaluating our relationships with third parties. And we're just going to build from there. Another really strong part of the foundation is going to be business insurance. So again, you want to make sure that you have someone who is an expert in that field of commercial insurance and you are protecting your business from all sides.
Absolutely. I completely concur. Like my checklist is get with your legal, get with your CPA, get with your risk management, your insurance provider, get with your coach, because that is your power team in business. And we can punt to each other and communicate amongst each other to make sure that the business owner is set for success. So thank you for sharing that. I really like that you brought that in. Your four steps are exactly the same as mine. So these people have probably heard it before, and we love to hear it from the experts. Rachel, when you're thinking about launching a business or you're thinking about getting to the full-time gig from a side hustle, what advice would you give those people?
Strategy, strategy, strategy. You have to start in with what's your strategy for getting out there? What makes you different, and how are you going to communicate? Be intentional with all of it. Plan. I love to have great planning come out. Who's our audience? What are we going to be talking about? Who are we going to be talking to? It's going to be different audiences, even though your business covers one particular one. There are subsections, and they're going to want to hear different messages on different platforms. Be intentional. How are you going to get your information out there? So that's the biggest one. And then you need to get digital. Business cards. Everybody goes online. You need to have a presence online. You need to have an active website. You need to have an active social media presence. You cannot avoid it anymore. You have to jump in with those. And they have to be intentional as well. You need to have a plan for those.
Absolutely. And I kind of want to add to this a little bit and get your take, Rachel. A couple years ago, and even last year, you could survive on one social media platform. That's just not what it is today anymore. We really as business owners have to be on multi-platform because people are not just consuming in one space, they're consuming in multiple spaces. What are you seeing right now? What are you seeing as kind of the flow and how people are engaging with content?
Getting the flow out there, and it really depends on who your audience is and what we're going to be looking for. There are different ones for every industry, and then your personality that goes along with it, being authentic and where you should be. So it's making sure that you've got the right messages with your audience. Where are they going? And you need to do the research on that to make sure that you're finding the right places, but making sure Instagram, are you using all of the pieces that go along with it and using those? But it is making sure that you're on multiple platforms and that you're intentional with them, and there's a plan and a purpose for every single one of them.
Talk to me a little bit about flow. This is something that has come up a lot in business coaching. It's come up a lot in some of the masterminds that I've been in, and that's the flow, like your sales process, right? Social media is about getting leads, getting people getting noticed. It's about building your brand. And so when we're speaking to our avatar, we know who we're talking to, we're on the right platforms. How do we navigate that flow and make sure that all of the content we're putting out makes sense together?
Planning, again, I love it. We are about planning. I like to be proactive versus reactive. It's the best way to go through it. So what is your intention when you're getting out there? I don't care if you break it down by the day or by the week of the month. However, there needs to be a plan for it. And then cross all of the different content. Have a post with just text in it. Have a post with your picture in it. Have a post that's got a video in it. You need to be able to show all the different things, but getting your message across. And be intentional. Don't just rush and go, oh, I forgot to post something today. Or, oh, I should have updated. Be intentional. Make a plan. That's the best thing that you can do. Yes, always have flex room for something could come up, but have a plan and get it out there. That's the biggest thing that's going to help.
I am absolutely adoring this because I'm all about the strategic plan in your business, fundamentally, with your marketing strategy. Everything has to have a plan. Without a plan, you're planning to fail, essentially. So let me ask you, because both of you ladies are business owners, so you're experiencing the same economic stress and turmoil that your clients are. And so talk to me a little bit about how you're able to mitigate the stressors that come with this. We have sometimes clients will call and they're having a really tough day. Talk to me a little bit about how you're able to manage your energy and show up and continue to have all this positivity, because that's what I'm getting here. I'm getting a lot of positive outlook, positive mindset from you ladies. What's the secret?
Thanks for the compliment, Jen. Not every day feels like I have a positive mindset, but that's really the key that I always go back to, and that's I just base it in gratitude. Gratitude for my practice, gratitude for my family, gratitude for my clients, gratitude for living in this great state of Texas, gratitude for living in the U.S. There's always something to be grateful for, and so even when I do get a bad call from a client, you have to turn that around and say, you know what, I'm thankful that I have the tools and that I have the experience, education, and training to be able to help this person. And so even when someone's delivering bad news, I'm trying to put a good spin on it and say, how can we look at the positives in this situation and how can we mitigate the negatives? And I just do that in my own life and in my practice through gratitude.
I personally think a lot of people, they take it personally. And yes, when you're a business owner, it's very personal. It's yours. But the thing is, it's business. We're out there and not taking it home all the time. I mean, we work remote and letting it go. Stuff has to stop at the door when you're having a bad day with some of this. You just have to let some of it go. I leaned into growing my team. I now have a bunch of people that are helping me out. They're amazing. And that's how I get through it, because do I want to let the world crumble around me? What's going to happen to them? If my attitude is about that, I'm just going to spread that through my team, and that's just going to spread on to the clients. That's not going to work. So having a great support at home, but making sure that you just don't keep bringing it home with you. And I know that's hard to say when the economy is doing this and clients will call in with bad news, but I love what I do. I enjoy what I do. It makes me get up in the morning to do this because I want to solve the next problem.
I think that's an entrepreneurial mindset too. Like, we love to solve problems and we're here because we like to help people. I think that's a commonality amongst all entrepreneurs, right? You're not an entrepreneur if you're not solving a problem, whether it's a product or service. And so I want to kind of take it a little bit another step. And how important is having the right support around you? Because so many times, and I think we talk about this a lot on this show, but so many times we have a community or we have a home life or we have people that we spend time with, and they may not be entrepreneurs. So they don't kind of understand the same challenges that we face day in and day out. I mean, if somebody has a W-2 and they are getting a paycheck every other week, very, very different than the entrepreneurial life, especially if you're moving or transitioning from a corporate to a business. Talk to me a little bit about how you have found the right people in the community to lean on, because it is, you're absolutely right, Rachel. It's about having the right team and feeding into them, but we also have to elevate ourselves and put ourselves in rooms where people are growing and stretching us and challenging us. How are you ladies finding that? Like, what is a piece of advice for the people who are watching if they're looking for that kind of a community?
I'm going to say networking. Networking is the whole thing for me. That's how going out to these meetings, that was the whole thing for me. And going to networking meetings, I go to business leaders, luncheons, activities there, and I'm just learning a lot and having them stretch me there. But having that network of other business owners to talk to, coaches, that makes a huge difference.
I couldn't agree more with you, Rachel. I think networking is key. It's key for me as a business owner, and it's key for me personally as a solopreneur. So in my business, it's me and one virtual assistant. We may see each other a couple times a month. But so just to have that personal connection with people, who are in my same shoes, who are struggling with the economy, who are struggling with all the things, the marketing, all the things that go along with being a business owner, the taxes, the marketing, the rules to follow, all of those commonalities that we have together as small business owners. I'm lucky to be a part of some really great, especially women focused networking groups, and those are key to me because it is different when you have a family. I have a 14 and an 11-year-old at home, and so for them, I'm working from home typically, especially during the summer. They're seeing the choices that I'm making of when I'm turning off and on the business mode. And, I always have those eyes on me, so I always have to be mindful of that. And so to have that support network is so important.
You said something, Lee, that I really want to touch on, and that's that you turn the business on and off even though you work from home. So tell me a little bit about how you were able to set those boundaries and how you're able to maintain those boundaries, because it's so incredibly important. Many of us are not just entrepreneurs. We have families, we have spouses, we have children, we have grandchildren, we have friends, we have so many other things in life. So how are you able to establish those boundaries, and how are you able to effectively communicate them so that, for example, your kids understand that, hey, this is business and this is important, and it's important for you as well to set your boundaries.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about that, because that's a question we get a lot on this show.
Absolutely. So I think you hit the nail on the head with establishing boundaries. I'll admit that when I started out, I was not doing a good job with establishing boundaries, and I had to reach out to a coach, and I specifically got coaching on how to establish your boundaries. And what she really worked with me on is prioritizing, first and foremost. What are the things that have to get done this week? What are the things that have to get done today? What are the things that have to get done this month? And just prioritizing your schedule, and then really creating a schedule from there, and then sticking to it. And there are emergency situations that always come up with clients. I was driving here and got a call from a client whose deal was falling apart, and had to talk to him, even though I didn't have that on my calendar, so to speak. So there's always room, to make exceptions, and that just goes with being an entrepreneur. But it really is establishing those boundaries and prioritizing, and I know those can be buzzwords, but how to implement that in your life is going to make you sink or swim for sure.
Yeah, and I just want to re-emphasize that, prioritize and then put it in your calendar and stick to it. I think that's the key. The discipline to stick to it is so important. And I think, Rachel, you wanted to weigh in on this as well.
Oh, definitely. So mine's a little bit different. So we're in social media, and I'm also married to the co-owner. So that's been a challenge too. One, shutting down at night. We've got to have a rule. Once those kids are in bed, phones are down. We've got to disconnect. And also pushing that for my employees. We are in social media. It is very easy for you to lose all your boundaries when it comes to social media. What spills over from your personal into your business, and when you're working, things are constantly dinging on your phone, and they want to take all of your attention. That's a big thing that I started. Every time we've got employees on board, they absolutely understand you need to have a boundary. You need to be able to shut off. Your phone has got to go off. My staff knows that I am a mama bear when it comes to that type of a thing. You've got to create boundaries in your life. I want you to enjoy your job. And if you don't create those boundaries when you're an entrepreneur, you will end up very frustrated, and it can take you down. But creating those boundaries so you have that breath, that you get to enjoy your life, that you get to, that's the whole reason why we're doing this, right? You wanted to build the life that you wanted to build. You didn't want your company to run you over.
That's absolutely right. That's something that we talk about a lot. Like, we accidentally created a job when we meant to create a business, and how to prioritize, do the things to delegate, and to move forward into true entrepreneurship. That's something that we work on a lot, actually, with our clients here at JGCS. Unfortunately, we do have to take a brief break. We'll be right back after these messages.
If you are looking for someone who can provide stunning photography and videos and knows exactly what it takes to get your listing sold or boost your personal brand, Matt Pierce Photography is your solution. My focus is on helping you make the very best first impression that you possibly can. We help you use images and videos effectively in your brand and marketing design to tell your story. Give your corporate image the presence it deserves. Your headshot and your branding is your first impression with clients and business partners. What message are you sending? At Matt Pierce Photography, we believe that pictures and video make information easy to remember, so it makes your message stick. With clean, sleek, simple, and powerful, well-edited images and videos will make you stand out from the crowd. Get your products or listings sold quicker and establishing you as an expert, attracting new clientele. We also offer an array of other products and services such as video walkthroughs, property and agent commercial videos, and a full-service video production house to help bring your story to life. See, when you grow, we grow. So let's grow together. Matt Pierce Photography is your solution for your real estate, corporate, branding, or marketing photography and video needs. Take a decisive step on growing your image and telling your brand story. Call me today for a free consultation.
Did you know your clients will decide to do business with you and your company within 15 seconds of browsing your website, your social media, and your digital footprint? In addition, your company's reviews will play a major role in client retention and future referrals. Hi, I'm Mike Moran with Digital Dimensions, a WSI agency. We use the latest digital marketing expertise, technology, tools to meet all your company's online marketing challenges. Digital Dimensions is your one-stop solution for social media and content marketing to website rankings and everything in between. Additionally, we have the know-how, knowledge of current trends, and effective SEO technologies, as well as cutting-edge tools to bring leads fast and effectively. Most importantly, we deliver innovative digital marketing strategies customized to your company's exact needs. Take a decisive step. Combine our powerful tools with your company's products and services and increase your revenue now.
Hello and welcome. My name is Lorraine Hardy. I'm a worldwide selling author and life coach. I work with people who are stuck either in life and or business due to residue from past experiences. I'm also the co-founder of Odyssey Now Television, where we are leveraging television to positively change you, the planet, and humanity. And we invite you through Odyssey Now Television to bring your individual ripples of change, and let's put them together to create a tsunami of change. And we will together create the best entrepreneurs that this planet has had through mind, body, and spirit.
Welcome back to Power CEOs, the truth behind the business. Jen Gaudet here. And if you're just tuning in, you're going to want to catch the first two segments on demand. We've talked all about the legal and marketing strategies and the plan and the things that we need to do in order to make ourselves successful so that we can not only survive, but thrive no matter what the economic condition externally to us is. Still here with me in studio, I've got Lee Freeman and I've got Rachel Drody, and we are going to continue this amazing conversation. And so, ladies, we just talked about boundaries and the importance of, setting up life and living life, because we don't just work to work. We work so that we can enjoy our life. So I want to hit that balance piece moment, because it's something that we talk about a lot. And when things get stressful, we kind of forget that it's important for us to take care of us first. If we are not healthy, if we're not managing our stress, if we're not enjoying our life and our relationships, and we don't have that full cup, then we're not able to be the best entrepreneurs that we want to be. We're not able to be our best selves. So how is it that you ladies are making sure that you're able to take lunch breaks when you're grinding and you're trying to do all the things to make yourself successful during a recession or what have you, economic turmoil? How are you able to maintain your health? How are you able to maintain those boundaries that we started talking about, so that you can have a full cup as you continue to serve your clients? And I think I'll start with you, Rachel.
So when it comes to making sure, one, that I eat lunch, I will be honest, my team messages me to eat. Yeah, I stick at that. So because I get so engrossed in what I'm doing, but honestly, like it's you just have to stop. You just have to stop because you're just so passionate about what you do. You just love what you're doing. You just want to get so wrapped up in it. And it's something that it just happens. And it's so easy for always to put ourselves on the back burner, forget about our health. And that's a big thing that I push in my house all the time at home. But going to the gym and all that other things are taking a break. So I actually, I will have to step away from my computer and disconnect for a minute, kind of shake it out to get back into it. But I have to have the team push me sometimes because I push them, but they do it more for me for taking breaks, I'll be honest.
You know, external accountability is huge. It's very huge. Most of us are not very good. We say we're accountable to ourselves, and if we put it in our planner, we'll stick to it. But that external accountability really ups the ante on that. Lee, how about you? I mean, we talked a lot about risk mitigation and the importance of staying healthy because we've just gone through a pandemic and people were sick, and we have to take care of ourselves. If we're sick, we can't show up for our business. So how do you maintain that for yourself?
Absolutely, and I think you hit the nail on the head when you said external accountability. So my real change when it came to boundaries, schedule management, making sure I was putting myself first was getting that assistant. It was delegating. So when I first left the law firm corporate life, I was working on my own, and I was, proving a point to myself, to my family, to my colleagues that I could do it. And I thought the only way to do it was to just be working all the time and not delegating anything. And when I made that shift, when I realized I need help, everything changed. So my assistant is key in not only helping do the actual tasks of things I was doing that I had no business doing, like bookkeeping. They say lawyers are typically bad at math. Well, that was definitely the case in my instance. But she, more than anything, helps me control my schedule because it turned out that I was overscheduling myself. I was giving myself too many appointments because I was afraid if I told someone, no, I'm sorry, I'm busy today, you're going to have to wait till tomorrow, that person would leave and go find someone else. Well, what I didn't know is that if you think of a successful medical practice, dentist practice, you're not going to be able to get in the same day unless you have a true emergency. And so what I needed to realize is that, yes, I needed to value my self-worth enough to know people will wait for you, and that I needed to have assistance in, again, with my coach, with my assistant, in making sure that my schedule was set in stone so that it allowed me to work in time for the gym, for a Pilates class, for a yoga class, just to decompress and Netflix and all that kind of good stuff. And so really what it was about is letting go of the control that I felt I needed to have in my business, and realizing that once I put a good team in place, that it would all fall into place, and it definitely has.
And you said letting go. I really like that you said that. I work with several attorneys, and I will tell you that of all of the professions, all of the different professions that I work with, the two that have the hardest time letting go are attorneys and physicians. I don't know what it is about us in our training in medical and legal, but we really do want to control every little thing. And so it is a step-by-step process. So if you are listening to this at home, and this is an entrepreneur challenge, everyone experiences challenge letting go and delegating some things. We all believe that we are the best at what we do, and that's why we do it. But the most important step is to start with the easiest things. And so I'm going to give you a practical step that you can let go, so that if you're listening to this and you're like, I identify with that, I need to be able to let go, I know I need external accountability. Write down the tasks that you do every day, the things that are transactional that you don't necessarily have to do. They may be $15, $20, $25 an hour employees that can be taking those over for you, those tasks. And then when you sit and you write down all the things that you're doing, and you look at how many things you're doing that are really less, they're more administrative tasks, they're less legal or professional tasks that require your attention, those are the first things to delegate and the first things to let go. So that's the easiest first step for you. If you're like, yes, I'm a solopreneur, I have a small company or just a small staff, and I feel that overwhelm and I'm not able to get it in, do a stop doing list and just start writing down the things that you do every day that you can actually delegate, and start small. Start with the easiest things to delegate, and then notice what time frees up and the decrease in stress that you have, and that'll help you to gain momentum and delegate more and more so that you can grow your business. So ladies, we're drawing kind of close towards the end. I would love to ask you if you could go back to a previous version of yourself when you were just starting out and give your younger version one piece of advice. What would that be? And then if you would share your information with the audience in case they're listening, not viewing, so that they can get in touch with you. Rachel, you first.
So starting out, going back, I had a lot of mental blocks where I said I was creating a job just for myself. I wanted to be able to work from home and be able to be a mom and actually have work-life balance. And I didn't want to manage a team, not because I'm not good at a team, it was all the extra paperwork that went with it. Find great resources with CPAs, your attorney. Go to them, identify, get with these good ones, have one-on-one conversations with them, have those discovery meetings. Use the people that know what they're doing around you for those aspects. It makes life so much better.
Okay, so delegate, find the experts.
Delegate and find the experts.
And how can our viewers find you or get in touch with you or our listeners?
So I own Harper Grayson Communications, and we're at all the marketing, online, social media. You can find us there. So at all the marketing.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been such a pleasure to have you here today. And Lee, how about you? What's that one piece of advice that you would give yourself if we were to go back in time to when you were just launching?
Yeah, I mean, it's very similar to what Rachel said and what I was just talking about in our last Q&A, but basically to learn how to let go and delegate sooner and more things more often. And once you do it, you're exactly right, Jen, you start to realize, wow, this is really amazing, this really works, and you start to see results. And if there's one thing I could change, I would have done all that sooner.
And how can our viewers and listeners get in touch with you, Lee?
Sure. My office is located in the Woodlands. My phone number is 281-402-6797. I always offer a free 30-minute consultation, whether it be regarding your business planning needs or your estate planning needs.
It was such an amazing honor and privilege to be here with you ladies. And I heard some very good take-home tips. And you watching, you listening, yes, you, congratulations for showing up. Showing up is the first step. You're here with us, but knowledge is only a very small part of the equation. Implementation is where the magic happens. We have talked about a lot of different things today. So I challenge you to pick one thing you heard, not all the things, but one thing you heard today that you think will make a big impact moving forward if you were to implement it. And you're gonna choose that as your action step, and you're gonna put it into practice today, not tomorrow, not next week, but today. Because today is the day when we decide that we're going to set ourselves for success and get to the next level. We decide that we're going to create our economy. We decide we're going to have the freedom to choose and to move forward. So just as a little recap, we've talked about making sure that you are fundamentally sound on a legal standpoint. Are your contracts in place? Have you mitigated your risk? If you're new to business, consult your attorney. Lee is a resource for those people here in the Houston and Texas area. But consult your legal advisor and make sure you're fundamentally sound, that your contracts are in place, that you can mitigate any risk, and then utilize them as a resource every time you grow. If that's your action step, great. Get on the phone, do that. You heard from Rachel, get on social media. If you're not doing video, we know that 65% of all purchases now come from video content. So if you haven't tried it, today's the day to try doing a video, and it doesn't have to be perfect. But whatever you heard from Rachel, from Lee, from myself, the Stop Doing list, that you think will have the most impact on you today, my challenge is for you to take that action and do it now. Because when we take action and we take that one step forward, 1% improvement every day, all of a sudden that has an exponential impact on our businesses and our lives. So unfortunately, all good things come to an end, including this show. But we will see you same time, same station next week. And until then, go win today, win this week, and we'll see you next week.
This has been a Now Media Television feature presentation. All rights reserved.